Ladies and gentlemen, imagine a motorhome so outrageous that even today's billionaires would look at it and whisper, "Okay, that's a bit much." Now rewind to 1952, when people were still impressed by a toaster that didn't burn bread, and suddenly, boom, Simonon rolls out a 65-foot rolling palace with a swimming pool and a helipad. Yes, a helipad, because apparently parking normally was just too mainstream. And before we go any further, subscribe to the channel. Seriously, if people in the 50s could dream this big without Wi-Fi, you can at least click one button with full internet access. Help a guy out. Now we're talking about the 1952 Executive Flagship, built in the United States by Mid-States Corporation under the leadership of William B. McDonald. This wasn't just a vehicle, it was a statement. A loud, chrome-plated, fuel-hungry statement that said, "Why own a house when you can drag one behind a truck and confuse every state authority in America?" The early 1950s were a fascinating time. Post-war optimism was booming, highways were expanding, and people were dreaming bigger than ever. But while most families wanted a modest suburban home and maybe a new fridge, McDonald went in a completely different direction. He envisioned a mobile lifestyle that combined business, luxury, and pure spectacle. The result: a motorhome so massive it needed special permits to drive through almost every state. Arizona was basically the only place that didn't look at it and say, "Sir, what is that?" Designed by Peter Kohler and built in California, the Executive Flagship was intended to start a new era of luxury travel. Mid-States was already producing over 7,500 units a year. But this was their crown jewel, or more accurately, their oversized, slightly unhinged crown jewel. It was meant to attract wealthy buyers, celebrities, maybe even politicians now. Let's be honest. Politicians prefer vehicles that don't attract this much attention unless there's a parade involved. McDonald even took it on a promotional tour across the United States, and people loved it. Crowds gathered. Fairgoers lined up just to walk through it. Newspapers covered it. Popular Science called it the most exciting mobile home in the world. It had hype, attention, and curiosity. What it didn't have was a buyer. Well, imagine walking into a dealership and hearing, "That'll be $75,000. In 1952, that was about the price of 10 houses. Even my friend Timmy, who once tried to pay rent with a broken radio and a six-pack, would look at that price and say, "Yeah, maybe I'll pass." Technically, this thing was a monster, a true land yacht. It stretched 65 feet, which is about 20 meters, stood 15 feet tall, 5 meters, and spanned 16 feet wide, 5 meters. It weighed around 18 tons and rolled on 10 wheels like it owned the road, which, honestly, it kind of did. Under the hood sat a 128 horsepower international truck engine, paired with a 10-speed transmission. Now, 128 horsepower doesn't sound impressive today, but back then, moving something this size at all was basically engineering magic. The front tractor had a 26-foot wheelbase, 8 meters, permanently connected to the rear living unit. This wasn't a detachable trailer situation. This was commitment, relationship-level commitment. The layout was genius in its own wild way. The front section handled the living part sleeping quarters for 7 people, including the driver, while the rear was dedicated to entertaining. And by entertaining, I mean full-on party mode. 2 levels of space designed to host up to 24 guests. Because nothing says casual road trip like inviting 20 people into your moving mansion. Inside, you had 2 full bathrooms, a dining room, a lounge, and a fully stocked bar made of bird's eye maple, stretching 7 feet long. There were 2 refrigerators, a wine cellar, wall-to-wall carpeting, air conditioning, and even a 21-inch television which, in 1952, was basically like having a cinema in your pocket. And then things got weird in a good way. There was a radio telephone, an intercom system, indirect lighting, and even something called a pooch porch. I don't know what that is, but Timmy once built something similar for his dog using an old chair and a pizza box, so I'm guessing the flagship version was slightly more luxurious. Even the safety features were unique. It reportedly carried 3 elephant guns. Because apparently, when you're traveling in a 65-foot motorhome, your biggest concern is running into an elephant in Arizona. The rooftop deck doubling as a sun terrace, and a helipad wasn't just bold, it was borderline rebellious. Bob, my conspiracy-obsessed neighbor, still insists the helipad was actually for secret government meetings with aliens, which honestly sounds less crazy than explaining this thing to a parking officer. The collapsible swimming pool deserves its own applause. 6 feet deep, about 2 meters, made of steel sections stored in the rear and assembled at camp. You arrive, park, unfold your pool, and suddenly you're not camping, you're hosting a resort opening. There was even a diving board extending from the roofline. Timmy once tried to recreate this idea using a kiddie pool and a ladder. We no longer speak about that incident. Compared to the market of the early 1950s, the Executive Flagship didn't just stand out, it didn't belong. Most motorhomes were modest, practical, and designed for families who wanted simple travel. This machine, however, was built for a fantasy lifestyle that barely existed yet. It competed not with RVs, but with mansions, yachts, and private clubs. And unsurprisingly, the market responded with admiration and 0 purchases. Even decades later, nothing quite matches it. Modern luxury motorhomes are impressive, sure, but this was raw ambition without limits. The story, however, doesn't end with glory. By the late 1950s, the flagship had been placed into storage. In 1960, Mid-States was sold to an aircraft manufacturer, and by 1965, the once great motorhome was found abandoned in a Florida storage yard. Its roof had collapsed, the interior stripped, and the dream, well, the dream was rusting quietly under the sun. A man named Ronald Haleman saw it, considered buying it for $2,000, and then walked away. Honestly, that's the kind of decision that keeps you awake at night. Timmy would have bought it instantly, probably planning to fix it up over the weekend with duct tape and optimism. And then, just like that, it disappeared. No confirmed restorations, no museum display, no billionaire rescue story. Just photographs and memories of what might be the most outrageous motorhome ever created. Before we get to the price, we have to admit something. This wasn't just a vehicle. It was a dream too big for its time, ridiculous, yes, impractical, absolutely, but also brilliant. It pushed boundaries, challenged expectations, and proved that sometimes engineering isn't about solving problems, it's about creating stories. Now, about that price, in 1952, the Executive Flagship cost $75,000. Adjusted to today's value, that's roughly $800,000. For comparison, you could buy multiple homes back then for the same money. No auction records exist today because the vehicle itself vanished, making its modern value impossible to define. But let's be honest, if it showed up tomorrow, collectors would lose their minds, and probably their wallets too. So here's to the Executive Flagship, the king of impossible ideas, the emperor of excess, and the only motorhome where arriving at a campsite felt like hosting a world exhibition. A machine so bold that even failure couldn't make it ordinary. And of course, huge thanks to the sponsors of the channel, yes, you legends who click that join button. Without you, I'd be explaining cars to my neighbor Bob, and he'd just blame everything on extraterrestrials anyway. final advice. Dream big, but maybe not install a helipad on your camper big. Unless you're Timmy, then honestly, go for it. I want to see how that ends.